Is it right for a president to nominate a justice so close to an upcoming election? Amy Coney Barrett's confirmation was historic for a multitude of reasons. Ruth Bader Ginsburg passed away, leaving an open seat on the Supreme Court, which is traditionally 9 members, for whoever is current president to nominate a new justice. The current president, Donald Trump, is expected to nominate a new justice. The Republican-controlled Senate would not bring to the floor the nomination of President Obama when Justice Scalia passed away with 1 year left of Obama's presidential term. The confirmation of Amy Coney Barrett is very hypocritical because the Senate told Obama it is too close to the election to nominate a new justice. After Ginsburg's passing a few months before the new election, the same Senate went back on their word and put through a conservative justice to replace a liberal justice. It began with the deaths of Justices Scalia and Ginsburg, which caused a major shift towards conservatism. Amy Coney Barrett, the replacement nominee for Ginsburg, is a conservative justice replacing a liberal justice. This situation cannot be changed because being a Supreme Court justice is a lifetime appointment that is difficult to change because Amy Coney Barrett has already been confirmed by the Senate. Although traditionally there are only 9 justices on the Supreme Court, it is not in the Constitution. Therefore, one party could control and stack the court by adding more justices.
The reason the appointment and confirmation of Supreme Court Justice Amy Coney Barrett is so detrimental is because her lifetime appointment at only 48 years old means she will hold a spot on the bench for at least 3 decades.
And that brings me to the one great and terrible truth about this nomination. The American people will suffer the consequences of Judge Barrett's far-right, out-of-the-mainstream views for generations.
Many of Amy Coney Barrett's rulings parallel originalism, just like her mentor, the late Antonin Scalia. During her Senate confirmation hearings, Amy Coney Barrett explains originalism.
So originalism means that you treat the Constitution as law because it commits these texts to writing. And in interpreting that law, you interpret it in accord with the meaning that people would have understood it to have at the time that it was ratified.
Amy Coney Barrett is filling the seat of the progressive Ruth Bader Ginsburg. This new polar opposite justice worries the many groups that were represented by RBG's rulings. Amy Coney Barrett skirted around answering questions about abortion rights, LGBTQ rights, and the Affordable Health Care Act.
Judge Barrett came before the Judiciary Committee and refused to answer nearly any question of substance.
However, during his remarks after the confirmation, Senator Schumer makes the American people well aware of how Barrett will rule on these rights.
She was closely affiliated with organizations who advocated the outright repeal of Roe v. Wade. The Republican senator from Missouri proudly declared from the Senate floor that Judge Barrett is the most openly pro-life judicial nominee to the Supreme Court in his lifetime.
Regarding her stance on LGBTQ, she was endorsed by anti-LGBTQ groups, the Federalist Society and the Heritage Foundation. And in 2015, she signed a letter stating that marriage is an indissoluble commitment of a man and a woman. As if that's not enough evidence, she was also a trustee at a private school that turned away children of same-sex parents, as well as not employing LGBTQ teachers. Before announcing his pick, Trump outwardly said he wanted justices who would repeal Obergefell v. Hodges, a landmark Supreme Court case on marriage equality.
And of course, what about health care? Judge Barrett has argued that Justice Roberts got it wrong when he upheld the Affordable Care Act.
Schumer sums it all up for the American people.
Judge Barrett puts every single one of those fundamental rights, American rights, at risk.
With political polarization and division heightened by Barrett's nomination, what comes next for the country? Many members of the Democratic Party are angered by the rushed and hypocritical nature of Barrett's nomination. Her place on the court could potentially block progressive policies for years. In order to narrow and potentially eliminate this conservative majority, there has been discussion of adding seats to the court. The concept is known as court packing and can be done on the federal level by passing a law to expand or shrink the number so long as Congress and a president are in agreement. The Constitution places no limitations on the number of Supreme Court justices, and over time the number has fluctuated. The court started with 6 justices in 1789, then expanded to 7, and reached 10 in 1863 with the addition of Stephen Johnson Field. In 1869, Congress set the court to be 9 justices. Though seats have been added previously in American history, the process remains controversial. President-elect Joe Biden has stated that he sees it as a maneuver that could come back to haunt Democrats when they're out of power. Essentially, a Republican president and Republican Congress could expand the court in the future in pursuit of their goals. This was a feature of the Reconstruction era. Biden also has a reputation for respecting institutions and traditions. Ruth Bader Ginsburg was opposed to the idea for the same reason. He is fairly moderate and hesitant to associate with progressive ideas of the Democratic Party. However, he has yet to announce an official answer regarding whether he intends to initiate this process. Adequate representation of the interests and voices of Americans remains a struggle. Following the 2020 election, there has been a major push to hold officials accountable and vote. In many instances, it seems political agendas come before the interests of the American people, and Amy Coney Barrett's confirmation to the court exemplifies this, as the rights of many people are now jeopardized.
Following the sad death of Ruth Bader Ginsburg, Donald Trump nominated Amy Coney Barrett. She ultimately succeeded the late Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg and now has a seat on the Supreme Court Justice. The swearing in of Amy Coney Barrett is a very controversial topic and has the nation split on their opinion of her. The American citizens who do not believe in the same views as her are highly upset because her views and beliefs could have many future implications that are harmful to the progress of our country, especially the progress made by women. In 1920, the 19th Amendment was passed allowing women to vote. On January 22nd, in 1973, the Roe v. Wade Supreme Court decision granted rights to abortion to women across the nation. I'm not saying Amy Coney Barrett in office will take away all rights from women, but they will indeed be hindered. Women's rights to vote and their newfound voice is what led to the spark of the Roe v. Wade case, but now Amy Coney Barrett plans to take away the right to abort children in the later stages of pregnancy. Women have worked so hard for their voices to be heard and their bodies to be respected, just for it to be taken away by another woman. Also, Amy Coney Barrett is no supporter of the LGBT community. Although there are many women and members of minority groups who do not agree with Amy Coney Barrett's position on the Supreme Court, there are many conservatives who do. To many conservatives in our nation, Amy Coney Barrett is the light and positivity that they can take away from this year, especially since Donald Trump was not reelected for president. Barrett, to many conservatives, is valued equivalently as Ruth Bader Ginsburg was to many liberal citizens. As a result of her indictment, many women will no longer have the freedom to have abortions throughout their entire pregnancy, and many minority groups will not feel welcomed. On the other hand, many Republicans will feel welcomed and supported by her seat on the Supreme Court. Her position on the Supreme Court will cause greater divide for the country and lead to even more polarization than there already is.